Hilary Calvert to join us now, and Hilary does. Hilary, how are you? Did you hear that particular release?
I did hear that. I did hear that, and we were thinking today we might talk about our health system, but that wasn't the thing that we were going to talk about.
No. I have to say, but what is it about the Greens? I mean, Marama Davidson always puts his foot in it. If you remember rightly, at the start of this year, it was start of this year or start of last year? Start of last year, all violence in this country is perpetrated by white heterosexual men. Never apologised for that statement. Never sought justification of it. She's just stated as baldness. And now she's in a personal degree of difficulty, which is unfortunate. That's true. Thousands of people go through that each year. Does a press conference but uses it to extol the virtues of the Green Party and politicise her personal plight. I just think it's bizarre.
You said something about that she said people are worse off than her or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Is she getting special treatment? Is that what she's saying?
I don't know. She says she's in the public health system, so let's assume that she is in the public health system. That's what I heard her say at the press conference. I think what she's probably talking about is the lottery code, which you'd know well about in Dunedin.
There isn't actually private cancer.
No, no, it's not.
But it's where you got to. How did she get to the top of the list? How did she get an appointment with, one, her GP, two, a specialist? Why did her file not get lost down the back of the filing cabinet like everyone else's does?
Actually, Greg's just put this out. It's a very clever text. Greg's just said, Michael, will the surgeon be a white cis male? ? That's a good question.
Yes, but it's unlikely, just like you feel that on a Saturday afternoon whenever the All Blacks are playing and things, they're not going to be sitting down at A&E for 12 hours waiting for treatment. They're not going to be triaged after they do this holier-than-thou triage crap that says, you're probably not as sick as somebody else, just sit and wait, why don't you?
To be fair, though, I would think that just about any politician of her particular profile would probably get, they probably wouldn't lose their files just quietly. What do you think?
No, and that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is all the rest of us would like is for the world to happen to politicians the way it happens to everyone else. Yes,
that's a fair point. Listen, I've just gone through that process myself. I think it's a very fair point you make. It's also, Otago Daily Times, the most trusted news media outlet in New Zealand, they tell me every day. The Otago Daily Times is making a big deal of the fact, and Radio New Zealand's picked it up as well, it's the 30th anniversary, I think, today, of the Bain family murders in Dunedin. Is there a prurience here, do you think, in that, or are people genuinely interested?
I don't know. I don't think. I mean, a wee while ago there was something that tickled people's fancies and started them talking about it again. But I don't think the 30th anniversary would have. I don't think anybody was interested in that. They're interested in whether you finally acquit somebody, or they're interested in whether you pay compensation or something to somebody. But I've not heard anything that suggests I'm just holding out for the 30th anniversary of the Bain.
No.
So it seems really weird to me. I don't know why you do that.
Isn't it interesting that even if he'd been found guilty, he'd still be out now, wouldn't he? Really? Because, I mean, that's just the way it goes. Mm.
Which is sort of... And people are very diametrically on different sides of this particular issue. One of the things I thought was, because I think, all things being equal, that he did it, and that doesn't mean that he should be found guilty of it. He goes through a proper process, and if there isn't proof enough beyond reasonable doubt and all the rest of that crap. Yeah. But to me, I'd be interested to know psychologically whether anybody in the world has ever been seen to kill all but one members of their family.
Yes.
Like that.
I don't know. The only other mass... it's interesting, though.
It has to be him or his father. And if his father killed everybody but him, I think that's so highly unlikely, psychologically, even apart from the evidence of, you know, why would you put your clothes through the washing machine, and why would a, you know, all sorts of other things. But just on if his father had been deranged enough to think that that was a good solution to whatever problems he had, and he didn't have any particular problems. I mean, he had a nutty family, but he had for the whole of his time since he'd been married, so I don't think anything particular was happening then. But he would have killed the rest of them and sat quietly and waited till his son got home and killed him too.
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, I mean, that's just
no. You got to remember what it said on the computer. He was the only one that deserved to live. Remember?
Yeah, not believing that. Not believing that.
I know.
His English was such as that message would have been left. That message didn't even feel likely for his father to have written.
It is a fascinating case, though, isn't it? Because it's not just the fact of mass murders. We've had them before. Nobody talks about Brian Schaffler, for example. He killed his wife, 3 sons, daughter-in-law and a grandson before committing suicide. That was in 1992. Then there was Ratama, who slaughtered his entire family. He's still in prison. Is it Raymond Ratama?
Not leaving one as special. And if one was special, you would kill them first, is what people tend to do.
Yes,
because they don't have to suffer through the others.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You know.
But the other interesting thing is, though, put aside just put aside the murder itself of David Bain or Robin Bain, one of the, and this is the interesting thing, this is why everybody's got an opinion on it, is because everybody, without exception, says it was one or the other. So, you know, there is, it's that linear. But putting that aside for a moment, the thing that is interesting to me is, I don't know if it's mythology or true, but the fact that it's now accepted as fact that Robin Bain had incestuous relationships with his daughters, and that is still
not accepted by me.
No, but I'm just saying. But it's really interesting that in all the media coverage I've seen in the last 48 hours of this matter, that has been accepted as some form of fact, and I have to say, on the basis of the evidence, and given how nutty, one of the daughters was, Arawa, not Arawa, the other one, Laniet, or whatever her name was, and how nutty she was, I'm not sure that is her telling somebody else is necessarily the proof that you need to make that sort of claim 30 years later.
No, and usually there was never a case about that. What we have taken to doing is, and she wouldn't have been named if they had been. I mean, sorry, the person who did it to her wouldn't have been named. What we're doing now is we're naming the victims of things and giving name suppression to the perpetrators, which is really weird. You know, so now there's this stuff all about up north, a little baby's died yet again. And one day there's stories about a man who says things about what he's done, and they change the story and this, that and the other thing, and who seems to be some reasonably close member of the family and things, and then later it's found that non-accidental mumble, and the baby's name's out there, of course, and then somebody appears and his name's suppressed.
I know, it's ridiculous. You're talking about the case of the young boy that was murdered in Teakwiti last week, yeah?
It was alleged to be murdered, yes.
Well, no, it was murdered. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, again, you know, playing with words. I accept what you're saying, but he was murdered. His father goes out there, extraordinarily engages with the media about how it wasn't him, and then goes through, rehearses, it would appear, some form of alibi as to why he couldn't have possibly killed him. He's listed as 22 years of age. He's the father. He conducts a whole series of conversations with the media, which are reported extraordinarily throughout the entire of New Zealand, and everybody who read them went, "Oh well, you murdered your son." So everybody, and you're absolutely right. Suddenly, he gets name suppression given to him automatically by the judge.
Does.